Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. I am pissed off. I'm pissed. You can't lose 12-2 to the Colorado Rockies. That's a disgrace. Just spin my mouth, why don't you? How dare you fall in that embarrassing way? You're going to lose baseball games, all right? You're going to have some ugly ones. You're going to have some tough ones. But this pisses me off. It's almost as if you look at it with the same eyes as you do with a manager only impacts such a small amount of games out of 162. They really don't change that much as people think that they do. Well, when it comes to outrage out of 162, I don't lose it that often, all right? There's only a few games here and there where I will lose my mind. This is one of them. The Colorado Rockies are a pathetic-ass team. They're a shit baseball team, and they suck. And you just got your asses waxed by them, and you lost the series. So you allow Game 1 to fall through your fingertips. You win Game 2, and then you spoil such a phenomenal start by Bryce Harper, where he's giving you solo shots. He's playing defense as well with a hose, an absolute cannon to right field all the way to home for JT to apply a tag and somewhat look at Didi Gregorius in the eyes and say, you're welcome. Because Didi Gregorius has another error at shortstop, and you could see the frustration out of him. You could see how bothered he is with that, and I think he's overthinking every simple play that comes his way because it's a little too much. It's the overdoing. It's almost as if he's so focused and heavily, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And he messes up mentally, and then what do you know? He messes up physically as well. Bryce Harper was so stellar in the beginning of this game, and as the fourth inning hit, it was a nightmare. So I see Phillies toxic Twitter. I'm hearing a lot from Phillies fans saying this is all Joe Girardi's fault. If you think that this is Joe Girardi's fault, you don't know baseball. I don't think Joe Girardi has been great. I don't think he's been as bad as what Phillies fans believe. If you had a new manager, let's put it this way. You have a different manager in place not named Joe Girardi. What's this team's record? I'll fucking tell you what it is. It's 10-11. It's 10-11. It's exactly the same. So Joe Girardi, after pulling Chase Anderson, brings in David Hale. I'm not a huge David Hale guy, but let's not act as if there were 3,000 options and there were obvious ones that he missed. Oh, you want Brandon Kintzler? That's right. The last time he was in play, 0-2 pitch to Darren Ruff for a 3-run bomb to lose the lead. So that's not an obvious choice. Spencer Howard. How is that an obvious choice? It's not obvious. Why? Because he had a 1-2-3 inning the last time he was in place? Okay, well, if that's what you're judging it on, David Hale in his last 4 2/3, which are 2 back-to-back outings, he went 4 2/3, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 1 hit allowed, 5 strikeouts. So if you're going to tell me because one Spencer Howard inning of a 1-2-3 where he struck out the side is enough to make you think that that's better than David Hale, well, I just spit out almost 5 innings of work out of David Hale where he only allowed 1 hit and 0 earned runs and 0 walks. Here's where I have the problem. The players have to be better. When Chase Anderson's on the mound, I have a common philosophy, right? And it's he's your 5th starter, so you can only ask for so much. Here's what I ask for, though. Don't walk the 8th hole hitter with 2 outs. Don't allow Gray, the Rockies starting pitcher, to get a hit. That, as a 5th starter, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a damn anything. You can't allow that to happen. That is unacceptable. If your name is Vince Velasquez, Nick Pivetta, I don't care. If your name's Brandon Workman, I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. We are talking about the 8th hole hitter with 2 outs. Do not walk him. I'm talking about the opposing team's pitcher. Do not allow a hit. And if you're David Hale, do not throw a meatball to Trevor Story. So you can bitch and complain all you want about the manager, and if you replace that said manager, you would still be 10-11. I'll bitch and complain that the players didn't execute. And if you change the players, you have a better chance of being more successful. Specifically, Matt Moore and Chase Anderson, who are just a disgrace. I don't think David Hale is good, but my point is, when you see what's available, you're looking for some long relief, stop acting as if there was some no-brainer option, some outstanding piece in this bullpen, that was staring at Joe Girardi right in the eyes, and he decided to look the other way. If Brandon Kintzler went in there and allowed a grand slam or allowed a single or allowed a double or whatever the case may be, you know what you would have said? How dare you put him in the game? The last time he was in, there was an 0-2 count to Darren Ruff, and he lost the lead. The obvious answer was David Hale. He went 4 2/3 in his last 2 outings and allowed 0 earned runs. It's just crazy. It's so easy and so simple to just scream at the manager when it doesn't work. And I've been through this with Gabe Kapler. Yes, there was a time where I did that. I've matured as a person who studies the game. I matured as someone who's recognizing what are the real issues here. I can go through, and I had the game on. I was hosting on 97.5 The Fanatic today from 3 to 6, but I had my iPad playing the game on the My Teams app right in front of me the whole way, so I watched the whole game while I was on the radio. And we were talking about this on the air. And I'll kind of go through the exercise again, because I don't know where my notes are, because I like to just scribble and write random notes while I'm on the radio and whatnot. But if we want to go through problems before Joe Girardi, Roman Quinn, Mickey Moniak, that's 1 and 2. By the way, just to throw this out there, since 1974, there's only been one time that a center field position for an organization after 21 games was hitting worse than the Philadelphia Phillies. So, yes, historic once again. You have the center field position batting 101. 2001 Chicago Cubs, the only team worse after 21 games into the season. So your center field debacle is just flat out abysmal. You're 4 and 5 in the rotation, garbage. Your offense in general at times, absolutely terrible, and you need more from a lot of players. You need more. You absolutely need more. Andrew McCutchen, holy hell, what's wrong with this guy? And that brings up my number 4 here, defense. What in the world is he doing out there in left field? This is a disaster for Andrew McCutchen. There's no way in hell I would have thought it would have gotten to this level of ugly, and there's no way you did either. This is trash out of McCutchen, where not only is he dropping balls that hit his glove, and he closes his glove, and the ball plops out. This happened a few games ago. Now we're at the point where he doesn't know when to make a proper decision on sliding, keeping the ball in front of him. The ball goes to the wall. Andrew McCutchen is lost, and he followed it up with another 0-for-4 performance. I'd say sit him down. I actually had a caller today on the show bring up actually sitting him, but what can you possibly do if you can't even fill the void at center field? What options do you have in left field? And in my brain, I was thinking, after we kind of discussed it a bit and we moved along, if Maton plays a position and Odubel Herrera comes up, I don't think that's the case, but if you put Odubel Herrera in center field and you put Maton out in left field, here's the thing. Look at Andrew McCutchen's contract and look at Andrew McCutchen, the guy. I think it's only going to have to get even worse for this organization to pull the plug on an Andrew McCutchen. And just to be real here, that scenario I just threw out there of Odubel and Maton, there's like a 0.07% chance that ever becomes a reality. So it's not something serious. There's no way in hell I ever see that actually happening. With Andrew McCutchen, just based off of who he is, it's Andrew McCutchen. It's one of the biggest locker room presences you have, clubhouse presence you have. He's one of your bigger veterans. To yank him off the field, I know you got to teach accountability, and you got to prove to every player if you're not going to perform, you're not going to play. But some get the benefit of the doubt. Some get more respect and more time to work through things. I can never imagine a million years them just saying, Andrew McCutchen, you're not playing. You're just not going to play anymore. Maybe to clear his mind for a very short amount of time. But I'm talking seriously. I don't see a way, and based off of the contract and the money as well. But I'll tell you what, defensively, he's been terrible. Didi Gregorius, I can't stand watching him play shortstop right now. You got to get smoother. We know about Rhys Hoskins' flaws defensively. We know about Alec Boehm's flaws defensively. So that's Mickey Moniak, Roman Quinn, your 4, your 5, offense at times, defense. That's 6 problems before I could think of Joe Girardi. Let's factor in the bullpen itself when it comes to personnel, right? So that now makes that 7. So where's Joe Girardi fall? 8th on the list? Well, guess what? There's a lot more problems. The fact that here we are sitting here saying, you know what? I can't believe he put in David Hale. He had to put in Brandon Kinsler or Spencer Howard. And it's a shame that Vince Velasquez wasn't available because he pitched earlier in this series. When you are making that type of statement and you are making that type of sentence come out of your mouth, that makes me want to throw up. And I hate what the organization is doing with Spencer Howard to begin with. Spencer Howard needs to get a start. Spencer Howard deserves to get a chance to start. I don't know what he's going to do with it. I don't. Here's what I know. You got to make a change. You got to do something new. You got to try and spark this up. The Phillies are, when you look at a tandem of 2, your Chase Anderson and Matt Moore duo, ERA, is 4th worst in is it the National League? I'm going to pull up I don't know if it's the entire league or the actual league. So I'm going to double check that and see exactly what it is. I saw it from John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia. He was tweeting away all of these disturbing statistics that you just don't want to know at all about the Phillies, but I will double check. It is the 4th worst among teammates in all of baseball at a 7.81 ERA. So it's not just the National League, it's the entire team. Ironically enough, the Atlanta Braves with the 9 ERAs, the combination between Max Fried and Drew Smyly, 2 guys, though, that got injured, so I guess you could put the correlation between, well, they are just injured players. Not that Drew Smyly is what he is, but Patrick Corbin and Steven Strasburg, look at those 2 names. The Washington Nationals with the 8.89. The Angels with an 8.74, and the Phillies between Matt Moore and Chase Anderson, 7.81. It is a disgrace. So I just feel that, your typical Philadelphia sports fandom here, to blame Joe Girardi for all of these problems is so laughable to me. Has Joe Girardi been smooth? No, he has not been your best decision maker in the world. And I go back to, you're putting too much blame and too much emphasis on him. This team is 10-11. What manager are you bringing in here that's going to change what this team is outside of 10-11? Here's my problem. You're seeing common themes from what you've seen in the past. We cannot go down this road again of this style of baseball. You cannot lose to the Rockies in a series. I'm sorry. This road record, it has to be better. You have to get more comfortable playing away from Citizens Bank Park. And now you're going to go see the St. Louis Cardinals, a beatable team. They're a 500 baseball team. You did what you needed to do at Citizens Bank Park. You now need to take care of business on the road against a team that's beatable. You got to beat the teams that you should be able to beat. Once again, not demanding a series sweep. And this is a 4-game set. Should we be okay with 2-2? Unfortunately, they put themselves in a position where I can't be satisfied with 2-2. I can't be. Sometimes I can be, depending on circumstances. For example, right now, the Padres and the Dodgers are playing a phenomenal 4-game series, and I haven't missed a damn pitch. It's been so tremendous. I am glued, as if this is October baseball, except it's April. I can't stop watching these 2 teams go back and forth. The Padres were coming off of a 3-game sweep. They got swept at home by the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going to Los Angeles. As a Padres fan, not that I am, I'm saying put yourself in the mindset of a Padres fan. You just got swept at home. Now you're going to L.A. You could probably live with a 2-2 and not be extremely disappointed knowing the circumstances. Going to the Cardinals after being this flat out flat and this terrible away, like I can't accept it. You put yourself in a spot where I can't accept it. Those circumstances, as a Padres fan, it's a different circumstance. This circumstance is you got to be better against a team that's 500 on the road. You have to be. Now, if the Padres weren't playing a team that's stellar and you look at it as a World Series champion, let's say the Padres were coming to Philadelphia in a 4-game set after getting swept by the Milwaukee Brewers at home. You bet your ass you hold them to a higher standard and you don't demand 2-2. You don't say you're okay with 2-2 going to Philadelphia, a 500 team after your ass gets swept at home. No way. Well, that's how I apply my mindset to this. You end up losing a series to the worst team in baseball. You gotta figure this out and make a damn statement. And I feel bad for guys like Bryce Harper, who left everything out on the line today and has nothing to show for it at all. This team hurts my soul. Here's your positive. Maton. Maton is so legit. Another 2-hit performance. Kid is serious. Is he really a 400-plus hitter? No, he's not a 400-plus hitter. At some point, he will come back to a reality. What is his reality, though? I don't know. I have no clue. I know it's not this, but I love the fact that this kid's ready to play ball every day. He's enjoying this moment, and he's making the most of it. He has an advantage right now. He's got a chance to play. And he's making sure that his name will be remembered, and you cannot take his name out of that lineup. When Joe Girardi, Dave Dombrowski, when they're ready to make that lineup card for the day, and it's okay, we're going to put McCutchen here, we're going to put Rhys Hoskins in the 2-hole, Bryce in the 3, and they go through the list. All right, where's Maton? It's not is Maton in, it's where's Maton going? In what spot is Maton going to bat? What position is Maton going to play? Center field. Please tell me center field. The kid deserves a chance to play center field. There should be no backlash with that. There's no reason in hell you would be disappointed. You know, I had somebody tweet at me, and I guess I'll bring this up as well. So I had someone tweet at me because I said that there should be no debate. This is not debatable whatsoever. Nick Maton deserves a chance to play center field and earn that every single day job when Gene Segura becomes available again. And this was the response that I had. That's could I eat Usman's punch in the jaw, UFC 261. Yes, here it is. Okay. Where are we here? No? Did somebody quote tweet it? Oh, here it was. Listen, if he wants to grab an outfield glove and shag for a few days, fine. But with zero experience there and to be thrown right into Major League Baseball, yikes. And I responded with, yikes is what I see every time Roman Quinn and Moniak are on the lineup sheet. So this can't be any worse. And there was a response saying, you have a better shot of them turning it around offensively than Maton somehow sliding into a position he's never played before, even though the chances of success are both pretty slim. I disagree. If you watch Maton to this point, I know he's not going to keep this up. To expect him to keep this up is silly. But the point that the tweeter was saying here was there's no way he'll be able to adapt and develop at a center field position. If there's anything that I think he can truly be that he's already shown us is a willing defender, is a learner, is a work ethic guy, is a dedicated guy. He's motivated. He's extremely motivated, to be fair. If there's anything I think this kid can do long-term in baseball is play all around. Super utility guy. I honestly feel that we are seeing a different but similar version than what we had in Scott Kingery. Scott Kingery would play anywhere. He'd say, give me the glove and let me go play. Second base, shortstop, third base, center field. I don't care. I want to play. I'll give credit to Scott Kingery when it comes to that. Just put me out on the field. His hitting has not been successful, and it's been embarrassing. Maton, though, if you watch him, he's got that motor. I feel confident that he actually could play some center field. Will there be a hiccup along the way? Maybe. Maybe there is a time where he doesn't see the ball very well. But if there's anything that I think he can truly do is learn from that, apply that, and become better. Where I don't know if Mickey Moniak and Roman Quinn, come on. Mickey Moniak's been an outfielder his whole life, and he struggles. He struggles miserably to see the ball. If Nick Maton struggles a few times, I have more faith that he'll figure it out defensively more than I have faith that the number one overall pick who plays outfield will figure that out. And I don't think Roman Quinn's ever going to figure out what to do with that baseball bat. Let me tell you something, Roman Quinn, if you're listening. You're supposed to take that piece of wood and you're supposed to make contact with the ball. And then when you make contact with the ball, you're supposed to get on base. And then when you get on base, you're supposed to run the bases properly. And when you are on base, you don't make the third out at third base. You don't make the second out at third base. You don't steal third base like you do with the very moronic mindset that you do, right? So that's baseball. And I hope you're listening because you really need to learn that. And I can really educate you on some of the boneheaded decisions that you have made to this point that makes my eyes bleed. Before we continue, though, DraftKings, I cleaned up with UFC 261. And there's so many phenomenal odds and promotion boosts available. If you go to if you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code Brodes, whether we're talking about the NHL, whether we're talking about baseball, you can bet on the over-under run line. You can go to Aaron Nola prop bets and look for a strikeout number that satisfies you. How about pro basketball? We're ready to head into the playoffs. You're watching this back stretch. You can bet on so many games, so many total numbers as well. I'm talking about player props in the mix, too, for basketball. So much. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. That is code Brodes. And some of these odds and promotion boosts are only for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, I want to play this anytime hotline call. This one after the game. I did hear it prior. Normally what I do is I just pick randomly. I don't want to hear it. I want to react for the first time. But this call specifically, I did play before because I didn't know if you see how it's all displayed, there's a timestamp involved, and I didn't know where this one was with the timestamp, if it was yesterday, if it was today, so I played it to listen, and I thought that this was fascinating. So I'm going to play this and then react a little bit.
Brodes, Middleton is the one to blame for all of this, period. He gave the keys to the franchise to Matt Klentak, and he wrecked the franchise. It's as simple as that.
Well, Matt Klentak definitely was a disaster. You're not watching Baltimore Orioles baseball, though, over the last handful of years. You're not watching this Colorado's Rockies team, even though they did lose to them, so that's sort of a hard point to make. But we're talking about a team that has pieces. This team has pieces. I think you need to start tweaking, and Dave Dombrowski can't fix what was a mess overnight within one offseason. There's going to take time. Yeah, John Middleton made a huge mistake sticking with his guns and going with this Matt Klentak era. I also feel, though, that the way that caller mentioned it, it's like you're screwed forever, and there's no way they're going to be able to dig themselves out of this with Dave Dombrowski. You have Bryce Harper. You have JT Realmuto. You have Aaron Nola. You have Zach Wheeler. You have Alec Boehm. You have pieces that do set you up for success. You have to put the right pieces around them. It's hard when you don't have phenomenal prospects. Mick Abel is a name that we are all super pumped on, and I can't wait to see him play. Bryson Stott is a name that we're intrigued by as well. I don't know what exactly those players are going to be because we were all sold Spencer Howard was something that I expected to see more from too. So hopefully Mick Abel's not the same way or Bryson Stott's not the same way either. I just don't think it's as much of a disaster as some are feeling right now after 10 and 11. This can't happen. And you can tell from the start of this show that I am losing my mind a bit and I'm reacting heavily today. I said it too. Out of 162, there might be 10 to 15 games where I overreact to the one game just because I'm annoyed and I'm bothered. This is one of those games. With John Middleton, though, handing it over to Dave Dombrowski, giving it to a guy that has built championships. And I was skeptical of him because he blows franchises up when he leaves. It doesn't need to be that way. It's always happened everywhere he went. It doesn't need to be that way. You can build sustained success. Dave Dombrowski doesn't really do that. He builds success for a window and a stretch of time, and then he blows it up miserably, and it turns into a mess internally. But I guess because of where we've been for so long, hey, if you're telling me we can get some sort of version of success, let's take that. We're worried about the measures that happen afterwards when we get there. I don't love that, but here's where we are. And Dave Dombrowski has built great teams. He does have a resume of getting teams through and grinding. The Detroit Tigers is the perfect example. Built from scratch, went to the World Series, making success happen for sure. Then things got pretty damn ugly and whatnot. But my point is this. Blaming John Middleton right now, I don't know if that's necessarily where I would go. I hated what he did. What he did, you can definitely yell about that. Where we are now, though, Dave Dombrowski, this team is better than 10 and 11. This roster is better than 10 and 11. This team is better than that. Dave Dombrowski decided to go with Matt Moore and Chase Anderson. That's a Dave Dombrowski problem. Should that have been the road they went through? I don't know. I brought this up millions of times. They looked at that $13 million or so spent on those two pitchers and would rather do that than go out and get a guy that you can look at as a person $10 million worth. A guy that's worth $10 million, and you know what he is, more so than two random players that you're taking flyers on. Go get yourself a fourth starter. I mentioned Paxton, and Paxton ended up going down with a serious injury. So I don't know if that would have happened if he was in Phillies pinstripes compared to where he is now. You never know. He's pitching a different day. He's pitching against a different team, different count, different rotation. Who knows? Who knows if it would have exactly went down the same way. He could have still been active, still on this team. That's irrelevant, though. Paxton, that is. But Dave Dombrowski went with that mindset, and it's looking to backfire. He had the chance to make a smarter move there. Even with all that being said, I still feel that this team is better than 10 and 11 and better than what they have shown us. They have let too many games slip through the cracks that they could be, instead of 10 and 11, they can be 13 and 8. They could be 12 and 10, which is significantly better than 10 and 11. Like, it's just, when you look at this New York Mets team and the Braves and how they started. The Braves today, by the way, a doubleheader against the Arizona Diamondbacks. They get one hit and then they get no hit by Madison Bumgarner. And I think it's hilarious that the baseball world is so confused. What do you do with this? The one-hitter counts as a one-hitter. The no-hitter counts as nothing because it was only a 7-inning game. I don't think it should count as a no-hitter because that's unfair to the guys that throw 9-inning no-hitters. But what do you do with that information? It just doesn't count at all, yet the one-hitter counts. It's really bizarre. Anyway, getting back on track here with the NL East, the Atlanta Braves are a mess. Like, all these teams are a mess right now, and allowing those 2-3 games to slip, that could be a major difference for sure. It could be a major difference. Now you're 21 games in. You're starting to feel out this team. You're starting to feel out this division. It's no longer 2 or 3 series in where you can use the excuse of, well, it's extremely early. It still is early in theory. At the same time, though, you played enough baseball to somewhat see and feel out these problems. Center field, 4 or 5. You could have done better at center field, right? So my point going back to this Matt Klentak thing is, you could scream about Matt Klentak and John Middleton and whatnot. Center field, and maybe this goes on John Middleton for not bringing up Odubel Herrera and letting him sit in the minors when he is your best option, unless that is a Dave Dombrowski thing. I would think a decision like that with the PR goes higher than Dave Dombrowski, and it goes to the owner because you're talking about a heavy PR decision. They could have upgraded at center field. They did not do it. They could have. They did not do it. They could have upgraded the 4 and 5. They thought they were by taking flyers on guys, but that's poor assessment on their part. That's a Dave Dombrowski decision, though, with those two positions, and you can make the argument that those are your number 1 and 2 problems. They were fixable this offseason. Even though Matt Klentak didn't leave you in the perfect spot ever, clearly, your organization needs to rebuild within. You got to start piling up all these prospects, which takes years to do in Major League Baseball. You still could have done better, though, with what you were handed and what you did. You could have done better. They just didn't this year specifically. So going back to the Matt Klentak blame, there's plenty of things to blame Matt Klentak for, and it's been a mess, and it's been a tough ride for us Phillies fans. I'm more blaming of the players specifically who can do a better job on their own. You got to be better. You're a professional athlete. Chase Anderson, you're a fifth starter. Fifth starters, I'm asking you to get through the eighth hitter with 2 outs. I'm asking you to get out Gray instead of allowing a hit to occur to let that fourth inning really happen. It's just crazy. And I'll be honest with you, I never even heard of the damn dude who came in at the end. I never even heard of this guy. And that's saying a lot considering how much I follow this team. I don't even know his name. Who ended up getting shelled for the Phillies out of the bullpen at the end. Bailey? No clue who Bailey is. He allowed 4 hits in 2 innings, 2 earned runs, 2 strikeouts. Let's go through their lineup a little bit because Trevor Story with the Grand Slam, obviously. Here's their, this is their 1, 2, 3, 4 hitter. Okay, so Crone, who had 4 hits on the day, 2 RBIs. He was crazy, 4 for 5. So that's your 5th hitter, right? Their 6th hitter had 2 hits. Their 7th hitter had 2 hits. Their 8th hitter had 2 hits. So their pitcher had a hit as well. That doesn't that excludes, but shouldn't. Tapia, who had 2 hits at their leadoff spot. Trevor Story, who had 2 hits and 4 RBIs. McMahon, who had 1 hit. It was just ridiculous to see this pathetic, putrid Rockies team, who is 8-13, shred you the way that they did. It makes me sick. So you better tell me something. You better show me something about yourselves when we talk about this series against the Cardinals because I'm sick and tired of it already. I really am. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.